We do have a panel, I got it wrong last time, on how to maximise ROAS and retention advertising on rewarded platforms. So, could we please have our panel come to the stage, all mic'd up?
Thank you everyone for joining us. Thank you guys for joining me at the panel. Today we're going to talk about how to maximize your ROAS and retention advertising on rewarded platforms, because as we know, this is a hot topic. There's so many rewarded platforms. It's here to stay, so we want to find the best ones, how to optimize, what are the things that we should do, consider in the future to make sure that the rewarded keeps growing and it's good for the partners, advertisers. Today we're going to dive into all things maximizing ROAS, retention, and joining me, brilliant minds will be Arseny Lebedev, founder at Original Games, Matej, Jurcak, Growth Partnerships at Pixel Federation, and Vincent, Tessier from 52 Entertainment, Chief Marketing Officer. Thank you guys for joining me. So to start with, to give our audience a little bit of context, I want to understand, how long you guys have been working with rewarded platforms. Arseny, you seem to be really well oriented.
Yeah, we started probably 2 years ago, and despite all of my reservations, it's working, and we're scaling up with new partners all the time.
Amazing. Matej, how long Rewarded has been in your part of your UA mix?
I'd say pretty much about 2 years. I think we started 2 years back as well. We started with Blind Thread at the time, and that was our first experience with it. And then we tested like a bunch of networks, and it's been part of the mix ever since.
Perfect. And Vincent, what's the percentage that's you?
I think it's been a year and a half.
Yeah.
We started with a few networks, and then last year we expanded and tried others, basically.
Yeah, amazing. All right, so I have a game and a prize, to be honest. So for you, the ones of you who stay with us at the end, the best quality question will be able to win this little fairy cow. I'm from Edinburgh, from Scotland, so if you stay with us, you can get that. So I'm going to pass this now to you, Arseny, and you guys will be able to decide who's talking next, so we can gamify the experience a little bit more.
Okay.
So what are the unique benefits that you observe from rewarded marketing compared to traditional UA mix? What are some unique things?
I mean, this is an interesting one. So, and I'm also getting this toy out of this because rewarded panel, right? So yeah. we have one casual game, and focusing all our 50 staff on it. What's interesting is the retention metrics from reward are typically better. So if you're talking to your investors all the time, or you're trying to raise money, maybe it's just worth only showing the rewarded retention. So that's interesting. But I think that the bigger thing is, in terms of scale, user quality appears to be okay, and we'll talk more about that. And it is a reliable scaling source to a degree. So I think I'm very comfortable testing new partners, knowing that we'll probably get some scale. It's not, it may not scale like a Facebook or an AppLovin, but it's like a safe bet, at least to a certain point. I guess that's the big one.
Perfect. You can now pick who speaks next.
Here, do I have to give this to him too?
Yes.
Okay, there it goes.
Thank you, my friend. To a degree is what I keep in mind in your sentence. It's an interesting channel to a degree, right? And that's, I guess, what we're here to discuss, is that it's a fairly new channel. Also, we can argue, rewarded offer wall has been there forever.
You guys have a bunch of games though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, around 50 and...
52?
Something like that, yes. But yeah, so we have essentially the material and different genres to test different channels, basically. But the point is, it's not new. It's just, essentially scaled or got a renewed life. Because again, an offer wall, and correct me if I'm wrong, but an offer wall, you essentially, reward users to get some whatever post-install, action to get their points in the game they're playing. So the mechanism is there forever, and offer wall never really took off, at least in terms of sexiness factor compared to the past 2 years with rewarded platforms. And again, the key thing in what you just said, Arseny, is it's an interesting channel to a degree. I will add that it's an interesting platform, but it's actually a little bit time-consuming, because you need your team to tailor potentially the user experience, the ad experience. Potentially you need the specific ROAS prediction to make sure it's actually profitable. Otherwise you can, I don't know, maybe lose money, right, if you not do it properly. So you need to put resources in front of this channel.
Matej, what are your thoughts?
I'm going to need the cow now.
I said I would throw it at you, So a bit of action.
All right. So yeah, I completely agree. The way we've been working with the rewarded platform is that we were not able to scale up significantly, but we were able to explore more of them, and each of them being able to offer us like a scale to a point. So there's a possibility to move in terms of scale, not really upwards, but more like to the sides, and implement more and more networks into our portfolio. Each of them are working a bit differently, so you might expect different results, definitely. And another interesting point for us is it also varies from game to game. Like one game implemented into different platforms, we've seen different results. It might be better fit for other game that implements different mechanics. And reporting, we never really broke down. What we should have done is that to create a separate reporting for the predictions for these types of players. We've been looking at it from the perspective of the players coming from the regular UA, completely different and completely underestimated by our end. That's what we're working on fixing right now.
Yeah.
So did you lose money for the past 2 years because you didn't implement this like smart way to analyze and to optimize?
No, we were more like more cautious when it came to scaling, and I've seen average results at best with some of them.
So do you think there's like any particular types of games, maybe genres, that work better on rewarded than the other? Maybe it's per platform, the uniqueness of the platform. Like, how do you determine what platform is working for a specific game, specific genres? Like, what do you look for?
Good question. I mean, in terms of setup, when you have the early in-game monetization done right, you should be seeing definitely better results. I'm not sure if there's like a typical genre that incorporates this right away, but this would be the way to go for me.
Yeah.
Who wants the, yeah?
Sure.
Cow?
No.
Anyone?
Give me the goat. Cow. I think like one of the things we learned is casual puzzle with a female audience with ad monetization works quite well. I think we tested on like hyper casual and it was not working well.
Yeah.
That's
perfect. Okay, so talking about like how to measure for success, because rewarded is, as we said, really different from traditional channels. There's like additional work that has to be done to make sure that you're not losing money. That's true. So what kind of key metrics, KPIs do you set to actually measure the effectiveness? Like what can you tell others who are struggling or who are looking to invest in rewarded to look for? Who has the cow?
I mean, I would say just start by doubling your usual D0, D3, D7 target ROAS to make sure you're not going to lose money, right away, and then you're going to relax it, right? So go super aggressive in your goal, and then see how it goes, and obviously monitor really, really closely the retention, the LTV curves, if it's different from traditional channels, that's the key, I would say, which is not so easy to do, right? You need to put some time, and having your team to do a separate project. Hey, the UA team is launching those new channels. We know the user behavior is going to be different. Please analyze and adapt, and then obviously you iterate. But yeah, target ROAS, that's your only tool. In terms of creatives, you tell me, but depending on the channel or the rewarded player, they're going to have different needs, different creative needs, and also that's something you need to understand to feed those networks with the right creatives, because then again it's a competition. Either we're talking about a rewarded app, where they have their users, like, I don't know, a misplay, and then you compete with all those other offers, right? So potentially changing the creative helps.
Yep. Anyone else wants to share?
Yeah, I'll take it. Got it. So yeah, retention, we were, I want to say, like, unpleasantly surprised when it came to retention, because we were looking from a different perspective at the user behavior. And I guess somebody expected the retention pretty much plummeted after they reached the final milestone within the game. So we had to adjust our expectation of those players as well and take that into consideration. Setting the, but then again, polishing the early in-game monetization might help to get the best of it right away.
Because the point is, like, if you're buying with an LTV model that's based on traditional user acquisition, like you mentioned, like, I think it's important to understand that model, even if it's updating, every day, even if it's user level, like we do cohort level modeling. You may need to make adjustments, or you may need to just constantly check. So what we do is constantly check that the projected cohorts are returning the same way they are, and very happy to admit or report that still looking at months in, deviation is like 10% from the model, and that could be even higher. Like the deviation could be up, not down. So that's good.
Perfect. And let's talk about some misconceptions, because every platform is different.
Yeah.
Every traffic is different, user base are different. So sometimes what works on one platform will not work on the other platform, right? Reward structure, for example, doesn't have to continue to go forever, right? And like, how do you tackle all this dynamic? Do you talk to the channel? Do you check the channel? Do you wait for the channel feedback? Like, what's the best solution to understand this?
What we do is we usually talk to the channel and we want them to take a look at the event structure that we have and advise us, or basically set up the events for us and tell us like this might be working better and better. I think that might be the right way to do it because they got all the insights and all the clients they've been working with in the past. So there's definitely the expertise to be shared. Whenever there's like a custom expectation to be set by us, it's usually taken into consideration, but we do listen to their feedback as well. But I would definitely leave it up to the platform.
Yeah.
I mean, so your question was on misconceptions, right? So we can talk about that. But I mean, internally, you're not the only one making decision, right? So you're doing a meeting and you say, hey, we're going to launch this. And obviously you have some folks that you will have to convince or to massage, because the misconception is this is not real users. I mean, they are not necessarily bots. Of course, they could be, but potentially real human beings, but they don't really want to play your game. They just want the reward. So they're going to come play your game, get the reward, and then, leave. And so I guess that's the biggest misconception, right? The thing is, a percentage of this audience is going to be like a sampler. It's going to be a taste of your game. And then actually they might like it, right? If you're doing a good job with your product. So there is a way to get real engaged users through this channel. And then obviously the other part is, but the 90% of the people, not going to fall in love with your game. And but it's still, from a business perspective, you can still make it profitable. They come, they stay 15 days, and your LTV is going to be different, a little bit more of an ad experience, more aggressive. So you can still make money with just short-term lived users, right? The life cycle of the user, essentially how long they're going to play your game. So from a business perspective, it still can be good, right? From a philosophical perspective, you might have some people say, well, they don't really want your game, right? I guess that's the biggest misconception, right?
It is. That's true. That's true. Yeah.
But I mean, your sales at KashKick, so you know how to kick
I have to keep my job.
Yeah.
I have to. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, misconceptions is this is all a scam, and it's like that's kind of an incent misconception, because that kind of traffic back in the day for folks who've been in the industry is that you're using this kind of traffic, it's cheap to push yourself up in the charts. But Rewarded is completely different, and it has limits, right? Because scaling is difficult, but it may be significant for your product. I think that's important to understand. I think the idea that the big one that I thought is, okay, I'm going to have to go to all these channels. Our game designers are going to have to figure out what events in the game we got to give them. And what we found is that the channels, they just tell you what to do. Like put in these 5 points in the game and it'll start working. So that traditionally has been working, and attempts to optimize that from our end have been not successful. The channel usually knows. So that's kind of my point, is that it's good to, you can keep adding these channels without having to add load to your UAMs.
Perfect. So in terms of on that topic, how do you actually choose which platforms to work with? There's so many, and there's so many coming to play right now, right?
UA credits.
Yeah, I was going to say, everyone gives me 50,000 to try.
So the one who gives you 60, you're going to try it first.
Yeah.
So that's it.
Yeah, next question.
All right, let's take
it has to work, yo.
No, but the reward structure, or the type of reward structure. Does it matter to you? Because some are playtime, some are challenge-based, different models. Do you care about that for your type of game specifically?
I didn't even know that.
You didn't even know that? Okay, maybe that's something you learned today.
I mean, your type of game might be working a little bit better with time-based or different things, but you don't know that in advance. Right? You don't know, you need to try it. Even if you know your game and you have an idea of your user profile and motivations, but ultimately you can be surprised. So I'm not sure, having your misconceptions of, hey, this channel should work better with my type of game. You just need to try them. And then it's a matter of bandwidth and, again, UA credit or incentive. So, you just put this network on top of your testing list, right? Yeah. What do you think?
I pretty much agree. We do. There's like there's many rewarded platforms, but there's at the end of the day, you're gonna run out of them, like out of the ideas who to test. So you're gonna circle around and retest the ones that you started with, and you're gonna look for I don't know what changed ever since that you last time. It was the last time that you used them. They might come up with different events, different models. It doesn't really matter for us if it's like time-based or event-based. Like whatever works, and it's not really up to us to decide. Like if the players like it, like that model, so we're just gonna run with it.
We actually got rejected by one.
Was it
how they dared?
We don't call,
I'm not saying the name, but it's like, get out of here, Arseny. That's what they wrote. So
What was the reason given?
that never mind. But maybe I asked for too much money. I don't know. Or they're afraid I'm going to stay on stage and or I go around saying it's a scam. Who knows? But I think most channels are open to working with everyone.
Yeah, and on top of on coming back to that question, stop working and it's not working better than others. So from a rewarded platform point of view, because probably there are some in the audience who wants to listen, from your perspective as a publisher, like what can we do better, and what basically you think, because there are just some sudden changes. Like we talked that there's some platforms just stop working out of nowhere. It was just very sudden, right? Some are working better, some are working worse. So what do you, from your perspective, how could you share what you are?
Well, for me, it's like, sign the contract. But the guy didn't. But I think the piece on it suddenly stops working. Yeah. I think the point is, if these channels are being honest that they're using their apps to kind of promote you in an offer wall or in an app, sometimes there's like a burn. It has to cool off. And in that sense, I told our marketing team to not give up. Like just try later. Yeah. And that's been working with some of the bigger ones, where we would have periods where they start performing, and then 3 months later, we're back. But they didn't give credit the second time.
Well, yeah.
So you kept spending a little bit, but unprofitably, until it just spikes?
No, that's the Apple Oven business model.
Right,
it's just always unprofitable.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is max it out until the point that it's just not working, and then stop and then come back.
Yeah, but your advice to your UA team is don't put a cross on this vendor, just try again in 3 months, right?
I agree, unless they suck. Yeah, if they suck, don't come back. Right?
Yes.
Okay.
Any more thoughts to add?
I just want to add that, it's actually difficult to understand, choose, do a proper due diligence on all the rewarded offering, because again, you have networks, and then you have their app owners who launch businesses. So shout out to David, who's just founded another rewarded app, not open to UA, I believe, but called Moneytime. I want to try that, David. But the point is, there is plenty of offer, because it's kind of trendy, right? So, and I believe it's actually a real user trend. So Unity last September, I think, on stage on their annual event, they say, we're going to launch a Unity loyalty program, things like that. So even big companies are taking this trend seriously. Which, who am I to say if it's a real trend? Obviously some new networks are blowing up, but it seems to be an underlying thing, with the economy being difficult and people just struggling, with their disposable income. So I agree to say it's a proper real trend, meaning there's plenty of companies launching their products. So for you as a UA, decision maker, it's actually even more difficult because more choice, right? So yeah.
Yeah, so just to finish off, in the next 12 months, how do you feel the rewarded platforms will play a role? What big of a role will play in your marketing strategy overall?
Well, they are definitely not going away. I think there will be just more and more coming from Hamburg, if I were to guess. And we will definitely keep them in the mix because they are working. We are not, well, sometimes we are able to scale up, sometimes we're not, but we are not throwing them out of the mix. I expect more and more to come, and we're just going to keep them.
Percentage of spend, I believe, when we prepped, you kind of asked, what is our share of wallet, right?
For us, maybe, currently I'd say less than 10%.
Oh, shit.
I think for me it's 15.
Yeah, ours is closer to 50.
Ooh,
Oh,
do you have real players?
No, it's like, I mean, some of them are bots from Vietnam, but like, no, it's like 30 to 50, but I think,
Right.
what do you mean, why?
Right. I mean,
Yeah, yeah,
it's a big number.
Yeah, it's
I'm
huge.
surprised,
It's
but
huge. So my answer to the question is like, I think this trend is growing. A lot of casual puzzle guys like us, like we actually have a spreadsheet that has KashKick, for example, and it's like all the CEOs are leaving their feedback. So I think these channels are going to keep coming. More and more publishers know about them. But I'm wondering, will there be a thing where, like, if you're a casual player, you're only discovering new games through these platforms because you know you're going to get you're going to get some freebies? I don't think that's going to happen. I think they're just going to be around.
Cool. And if somebody is considering working with Rewarded, still hasn't tried them, is a little bit skeptical, so what we discussed,
Yeah.
what would you say to them if they want to try? Which one give priority to? Any recommendations that you have for people wanting to try?
check your competitors. Try to understand what your direct competitors are using in terms of specific channels, and either you jump on the same and you compete, or actually maybe just go to another one so your competitor is not going to be there. And so for the same users, you might have more chance to get the install.
But is it a thing of like, this is a scam? Like, I think that's gone. Like, so there's no reason not to try it. And they all give you credit. They all give you credit.
So just do it.
Just do it.
Perfect. Matej?
No, I agree.
Just do it. Just do it.
Would you have a more nuanced approach answer?
No, I would go the same way. I mean, there's nothing to disagree with. It's not going to go away. Just implement it, test it. You never know. You might find the best players over there.
There could be a concern that this is going to cannibalize traffic from a major SDK network. But I mean, kind of my feedback to my CMO is like, well, if it's performing, maybe that's okay.
Perfect. Thank you guys for joining me here. And now I guess we can turn to the questions, and the best quality question can win that furry little friend over there.
Thank you guys for sharing your insights. I think Monika did all the best quality questions though. So I'm just gonna throw another one. Which geos or which kind of traffic do you guys think these platforms attract?
I mean, they attract tier 3 cheap traffic that's using VPN to get money, but you just filter those out. But I think to answer your question, it's like the same geos that are working elsewhere. Some channels are locked to US, for example, which is the traffic that you want, right?
Yeah, the biggest is still US.
And I have one more question since I have the mic. Does it work to have several rewarded platforms, or is there any type of cannibalism here?
I mean, usually, my understanding is, again, depending on who you're talking about, but some of them have their own first-party app. So in that sense, you don't compete. It's just a different app with a different user base. And then you need to look at the overlap. Okay, this user is actually using all those rewarded apps on the same device. So then, yeah, you compete. But it's like our networks. All the SDK networks have access to exactly the same inventory, but they do a better job at matching your campaign with the user at any given time, right? So I would say there's not much overlap or similar overlap to SDK networks, so just go ahead. You can open 10 channels and just see which one performs the best at any given time for your campaigns.
I think consumers behave, sorry. I think, does he have the cow? No.
Do you have a cow?
No, sorry, yeah, go, sorry.
So as I was saying, the totally makes sense to implement more at the same time and just look at the performance and scratch out the ones that are not working for you, come back to them later, because definitely cannibalism might be there, but still, I don't see much of a sense to testing just one at a time in this particular case.
So what I wanted to say was that I don't think we're at a point that consumers are going through all of those channels and seeing which one gives you the better reward. I think that's the concern, is that you're going to launch in all of them and they're going to find, okay, this one has the best deal, so I'll go there. I don't think it's happening. And I think another interesting point on that is like, how do you know that that's happening? If you look at your user reviews or support requests, sometimes there's bugs with getting those rewards, and it's interesting. You may start seeing trends there, and you have to see those trends. You have to run parallel.
Yeah, and also look for the honesty and what channels sharing with you and who's working on long-term ROAS and long-term retention, because that's where I think it's going this year.
Any more questions? Clara Zane, hello.
Oh. Thanks. In terms of the budget you guys are spending on Rewarded, and it was interesting to hear your sort of differing shares of wallet, has that been additional spend? So you've grown your marketing budget, or has it taken share away from your Matej at Levens?
I mean, for us, we're spending on this game like in the low millions a month. So at times, 50% of that might go to these channels, and it's always incremental. But they have a limit. Like it's not like Apple Oven where they'll just be happy to take your money indefinitely. Mm-hmm. So it's always incremental, but you have to keep adding channels for us anyway.
Same.
Yeah, same here.
There's one other.
I can add that even if you allocate your good SDK network long-term channel and you take this budget out to put that in rewarded ads, I'm not sure you're doing a good job. It has to be incremental, I would say.
Hello, so thank you for sharing. I'm really curious to understand by how much you reduce your payback time on your games with those network, and did you see it change depending on the category? For instance, you divided by 2 on in-app purchase game and like by 3 on ads game, for instance?
Just be more aggressive. So I say earlier, like double your target ROAS for the same kind of D7. I would say start there and see how it goes. And obviously it's going to move your payback window. It's to divide your payback window by 2, right? I'm not sure you should be more aggressive than that because then you're not going to spend anything, right? But yeah, I don't know how
It's an interesting one. I haven't tried. I'm too cheap to try that. But yeah, so that's kind of an SDK strategy on UA. We haven't really tried that, but I think from our end, the channels provide guidance on bids, and we're more comfortable with that right now.
Never trust.
Never trust the channel.
100% what they say, right? Because I don't know.
Yeah, don't
do
say that out loud. That's a secret.
Sorry.
That's a secret.
Does that answer your question, Claire?
Not really.
Yeah. Let's take it offline, as we say in Zoom conferences.
Anybody else want their question not answered?
Yes, I'll happy to not answer.
Thanks. Do you guys see any crossover between the rewarded platforms and the Web3 stuff? Like the kind of motivations that players have to play might be similar to NFTs and crypto?
I didn't study the subject, so I don't know, but there might be, indeed. As soon as there is a transaction, you can talk about crypto and NFTs, and there are transactions with the users in rewarded platforms. To what extent it's there and potentially messing with the performance, I don't know. You don't want to talk about that?
I don't know the question.
Okay.
I can't answer it.
That was an interesting one. Maybe that's the one. Maybe that's the one.
I think you need.
But that's an interesting point.
Maybe we need a new speaker.
Yeah, we need a Web3 speaker to talk about maybe hybridization. Yeah, maybe. Okay. Any more? Okay. Well, thank you very much, our panel. Can we do a round of applause?